So welcome back to another video on the channel, and today's video we have another student interview, and this student interview is with Mr. Jared Busby, and he basically joined the Quantum Leap Ecom Agency program back in, I believe it was October of 2020. Oh no, actually it was November of 2020. And he basically joined at 3,000 a month. So he was at 3K a month with his agency, had a pretty, solid agency going. He joined the Quantum Leap Ecom program, as I say, in November, and fast forward to a month ago, he was at 13,500 with his agency, at which point he then joined Centurion Agency, which is the higher level program, and now he is currently sat at just over 20,000 a month. I believe he's signing a new client this week, and he is now sat at around 20.5 thousand a month with his agency. Very, very in-depth interview. We talked about a lot of different things. If you're a beginner, this is going to be tremendously helpful for you, because we talked about how Jared basically started out completely, with nothing, right? He was in college, he then dropped out of college to focus on fully ramping his agency. We talked about that transition of, going down the normal route of college and, getting a job and getting a good career and whatnot. He basically was on that path and he broke out of it to now obviously ramping his agency, and he's done tremendously well. He's ramped pretty quickly as well. He's ramped from 0 to, 20,000 a month in just a few months. So amazing interview. Now, if you're interested in joining the Quantum Leap Ecom Agency program, which is my program that takes you from 0 to $10,000 a month with your own agency, click the first link in the description. It's going to take you to a scheduling page with my student success manager, Daniel. And if you run an agency that's above $5,000 a month and you're wanting to ramp to 50,000, 80,000, 100,000 a month, then go ahead and apply for Centurion Agency, which, as I say, takes you from around 5, 10, 15, 20, 30,000 a month with your agency, and we basically ramp you to 100,000 a month. Go ahead, click, I believe it's going to be the second link in the description for Centurion Agency. Schedule in your call. That's with myself personally. I'll hop on a call with you personally, and we'll go through and pretty much just lay out an entire roadmap for you in terms of how you can go from wherever you're currently at, 5, 10, 15, 20 a month with your agency, and how we can ramp that up to 100,000 a month. So with that being said, enjoy the interview with Mr. Jared Busby. So welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we have another student interview. I'm actually joined with Mr. Jared Busby. Is it Jared Busby or is it Jared Hayes?
So my last name is Busby, but sometimes I use my middle name Hayes for my last name. So it's Jared Hayes Busby.
Any reasoning for that, or?
Yeah, so it's actually a funny story. So my Jared Busby account got banned because I was working with this one client that kind of has like a gray area product. So that account got banned, and I was like, man, I have to figure out how to come with a new account. So I used my middle name as my last name, and it worked. So I kind of just stuck with it.
That's crazy. So, I mean, dude, obviously, right now, what are you going to hit this month with your agency? It's just over 20, right?
So it depends. So I should actually have a new client like message me any day now. With that client, it'll be just over 20K. It'll be 20,500.
Got it. Cool. And obviously, you're obviously inside of Centurion Agency, but when you first started, you joined Quantum Leap in, is it like November or something like that in 2020?
Yeah, it was in November.
And you joined at 3K, right?
Yeah. I was at 3K. I had one client, which is kind of like a higher ticket client, especially for beginners. Because I know like some people are like $1,000 clients, 1,500. I kind of just got a little bit lucky because I actually met this guy through Upwork, and he has a few connections to business owners, and so yeah, I kind of got that client through him, and it was just a higher ticket client.
Got it. So I want to touch on that quickly because I know a lot of people struggle with like that, limiting belief that, I can't charge more than like 2K or 3K, or even some people like 1,500 or even 1,000, right? I know when I started out, I think my first ever client was like 1,000 Australian a month. And I remember just telling myself that I could never, ever charge a client like 3K. So how was it just more luck that you got that? Or did you just kind of think, fuck it, I'll just bill him 3K or at least pitch him 3K?
Yeah. So it was a gradual change. So my first client was 800 US.
Okay.
And that was like a pizza restaurant. It was like typical going for restaurants kind of thing. which I don't recommend. Definitely do e-com.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
but yeah, so with that one specifically, I had worked with another brand. It was like extremely lucky unicorn client. Like anyone watching could have posted ads for them and they would have gotten like a 10x. Like it was just a ridiculous business.
Yeah.
Zero competitors at all, and it was just an in-demand product. So I had one of those clients, and we scaled them up to like 500,000 a month, which is ridiculous. So I
Wow.
got some confidence there.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a bit of luck. Then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start charging 2K and I'm gonna start charging 3K, like see what I can do.
Yeah.
Because now I have this case study to reference back to. Is like we got this client to 500,000 a month.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's dope. It's so much better when you got a strong case study, obviously, which is one of the main reasons why I always say, like, if you've never ran ads before, it's good to get somebody on board, right? Because case study is just like anchors your agency up here, whereas like somebody else reaching out the same day, they're like down here because your case study is just way better. So I'm curious as well, like at the moment so what are you at without this new client?
I'm about 17.
Okay, cool. So how is that made up at the moment? Like, what does your client roster look like?
Yeah, so it's actually a pretty wide variety. So it's between, I have one client that's kind of more of like a favor, like a friend of a friend. And I actually, he's 1,500 a month, which is my lowest client. But the reason I'm okay with that is because their brand is making like I think over 25 million a year, but mostly on Amazon. So I'm able to like leverage that case study of, oh, I'm working with a company that's making 25 million a year in my funnel or website. So I'm able to leverage them. So I'm willing to kind of like just start out a little bit lower since it's a little bit of a favor. So that's the lowest one. And the highest one is about 6,000. And I have people kind of in between. I have a consulting client, 2,000 a month, and it kind of just varies between there.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you've definitely got a bit of a different makeup than most, because I know you do quite a bit of consulting as well. What's the idea behind doing the consulting? Like, you know, with that specific client, obviously, I'm sure you would have hopped on a normal sales call with them. How come they became a consulting client and not like a main, you know, typical done for you agency retainer client?
Yeah, so it definitely wasn't on purpose. If I could have gotten them as like a normal done for you service client, then it would have happened. But they had just like literally, I think 3 days before, they had just stopped working with their other agency. And I wouldn't say that they were burned because the results were pretty good. They were spending probably about 350 a day, and they were making probably like a 4x, 5x.
Yeah,
pretty good results. But the communication wasn't there. They felt like they could do it better than anyone else, ad copy wise. Like they knew their target market. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to tap into that, see if I can help you guys kind of like show you guys the Facebook ads route, since you guys already know what you're doing. Like with how to talk to people and creatives. So I just kind of pitched them at half price, which I pitched them at 4K, and then consulting, I was like, I'll do it for half price since it's just consulting for 2K.
Nice. So, I mean, I want to, obviously, as I said to you before, like the main audience on this channel is pretty much anywhere from like 0 to 5K a month. So I want to rewind. Obviously, you joined Quantum Leap in November, but you was already at 3K. Let's take a step back further than that. Like, how did you even get into the online world, if you like? Because I mean, how old are you?
I just turned 21 about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay. So I take it was a transition out of school, was it? Or did you have like a normal job? Like, how did that look?
Yeah. So I was actually going to Oklahoma State University at the time. I was 18. I was in my first semester. And funny enough, I was actually in an entrepreneurship class. So that actually kind of opened the door. Not as big as you'd probably think. It's not like, oh, like I had this epiphany in this college class. It wasn't like that. It just kind of got me thinking, like, what problems can I solve? Anyways, I went back to my dorm and I was scrolling through YouTube, and this video popped up. It was like an $88 million house tour by Ryan Serhant. I was like, Jesus, like who can afford an $88 million house? So I watched it, and like a $2 million staircase. I was like, that's just ridiculous. If someone can make that much money, like I at least want to have a piece of that. So I started looking up ways on how to do it. I was like, oh, I should go the real estate route. And then I was like, Amazon FBA, this and that, drop shipping. I just kind of settled on, social media marketing, and kind of just went from there.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a different story. I mean, I always hear of like for me, my personal like how I got into it was like the whole Ty Lopez thing. Like I
Yeah.
stumbled across his ad and whatnot. That's usually like one of the most common stories. So did you go straight out of college straight into it, or was there like a crossover period of like a main job, or did you just were you like in school and you were like, no, this is like what I need to do. I don't want to go to, or I don't want to, I don't know what is it, university after college over in America?
Yeah. So it goes like kindergarten to 12th grade, which is all like just regular school, high
Yeah.
school. And then university and college is the same thing, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Okay.
so university is just like a bigger college campus, and college is like it could be just like higher learning after high school.
Okay. Got it.
So yeah, I was actually in the second semester of my first year in college, um, and that was like I was making I think $800 a month. Like I started that first client, I was
Yeah.
like, I'm just gonna drop out. Fuck it. Like I know that I
Yeah.
don't want to
Right.
go to college anymore. I want something more. So I was like, I'm just gonna figure it out. And I actually, funny enough, like I still have my dorm room, which I wasn't supposed to. I was supposed to like move out pretty much within 7 days of withdrawing. I
Yeah.
didn't, but I kind of did. So my stuff was kind of there, but my girlfriend also lived on campus. Like we've been together 4.5 years now, so since
Yeah.
high
Wow.
school. And I stayed with her in her dorm until I kind of just got all my stuff together, I got a little bit more money, and like got an apartment there, and just yeah.
That's wild, dude. I mean, I'm curious as well. I never had this issue, but I do see it's a really big issue that a lot of like people, as I say, between like 0 and like 3K a month, they have the issue of like wanting to do something, but like, especially obviously the younger people like myself, like, 17, 18, 19, they want to drop out of maybe it's college, maybe it's school. I don't really recommend dropping out of school, but whatever
Yeah.
it may be. How did you go about it with your parents? Like, how was that? Because as I say, I know that's a really big issue that a lot of people actually struggle with.
Yeah. So um my mom, she's pretty supportive about everything. So both my parents actually wanted me to go into the military so I could have free college benefits, things like that.
Yeah.
And I almost did, dude. I was so close. I had to went to like the MEP, sign all the paperwork. The only thing that was left was like a signature on a job. But they didn't
Wow.
give me a job that I wanted. So I just decided to go to college with my girlfriend. And so that was super close to happening. But my mom is pretty supportive about everything that I do. She's
Yeah.
like, she knows that I'm my own person and that I'm going to do my own things. Even if she
Nice.
doesn't agree with them, she goes with it. And my dad is similar, but he definitely, because he has a master's degree, he almost actually has two master's degrees. He works for casinos in the U.S.
Okay.
So
Wow.
yeah, he's kind of like in the corporate world,
Yeah.
kind of like that executive level, almost director position. So he's all about like get your
Yeah.
education, and he wasn't like I wouldn't say disappointed, but he was still thinking, okay, he's just gonna drop out, realize that it's dumb, and then just go back to
Go.
school. Yeah.
Right.
So and he even told me one time I think I had I think we'll get onto this part, but I just lost like basically my biggest client, which was my only client at the time, and he was like, so if you realize that you're gonna have to go back to college, I was like, that's just not gonna happen.
Yeah. I was gonna. Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's very interesting, because I think that's a lot of people's parents, like they're very strict in the older way of going about or becoming successful,
Yeah.
but you just touched on something there that I really do want to make a point of. You mentioned that you pretty much lost everything for like a 6-month period or something like that,
Yeah.
right? Is that obviously part of you losing that bigger client?
Yeah. So,
What happened there?
yeah. So, like I said, I had met this one guy on Upwork that I'm really good friends with now, and he kind of gets in with business owners and pitches them on just all kinds of things. So, whenever they want Facebook ads, he comes to me for it.
Yeah.
And so there was this one client, and I didn't know at the time, but the guy that I'm referring to, he was pretty broke. He was kind of getting into everything too. And he was like, "Hey man, like I have this client, and like I can't pay you much. I can only pay you like $12.50 a month, but like I know that this product can scale and it can scale really fast." So I was like, okay, like let's take it on. And that ended up being the $500 per or 500,000 per month client that I was talking about earlier.
Wow.
So that was like, I think my third ecom client. Super lucky, super lucky.
Yeah.
But so we started scaling that, and I was making so the retainer went up from 1250 up to 6,000 a month.
Wow.
And I got super complacent, dude. I was like, man, I'm gonna go get a car. I got a new apartment, like this and that, like because that's like 72 grand a year or something like that, which is very comfortable.
Full-time income.
Yeah. And I mean, like you have one client, it's not that much work, really. So I felt like I was on top of the world. And what happened was the guy that was that was holding the relationship between the client and the guy, it just fell through really, really hard. So I ended up losing the client just like overnight. And
wow. And at that time, that was your entire agency, was it?
Entire agency. Well, I guess it's agency, but
yeah. You're just like a high paid
freelancer.
Yeah, pretty much. How did you then obviously come back from that? Because you mentioned that it was for 6 months, like you lost everything for 6 months. So did it take you 6 months to get your next client? Like, how did you not fall back to the college route like your dad was pushing, because that's obviously not a surefire way, but that's a more, stable, comfortable way. So like, how did you, when you lost, 6K a month down to zero, it's a pretty big jump. So how did you, come back from that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was pretty stubborn on not going back to college. I was like, no matter what I do, like even if this, marketing stuff doesn't work out, I'm just gonna be like an electrician or something. Like I'm not going back to college. Like I hated it. So, actually, talking about your other question, my girlfriend's parents. So her dad is super strict. He's an attorney, so he's super strict.
Wow.
Go to college. Like two people, like a 2-degree income household would be amazing. Like there's nothing in the world that's better. So they actually still don't know that I dropped out like 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. So I hope they don't see this. If they do, sorry. But yeah, it's just I forgot what the original question was because I went back to that. But
just like how you came out of, how you came back from dropping from down from 6 down to 0, and then you came back and now you're, hopefully this month hitting 20 grand. Like, how did you bounce back pretty much?
Yeah. So
I like to say, the reason for that question is I think a lot of people watching would, not a lot of people, but there'd be a lot of temptation there for them to just doesn't work out, like what people put out on YouTube or what these people say, it's all fake, like it's not actually real life. I just lost this client, like it doesn't work. I may as well just go back to the normal route. But obviously you didn't do that. I'm curious how you didn't just fall back into the normal way.
Yeah, well, one thing I definitely say is like, if you're like super beginner, like you just haven't like had much experience just in entrepreneurship in general, like it's gonna take time. And that's something that I didn't realize, that dude, it's gonna take multiple years to pay off. Like seriously, before you really get into it, before you're making 20, 30, 40K a month, it's like it's gonna take some time. But how I bounced back from it was so I was actually relying on the one guy that had got that previous client. I was like, man, like he got a client before, so I'm just gonna rely on him to give me another one because he's kind of like a go-getter guy. I was like, oh, maybe he's kind of like my salesman, but he's kind of like, you know what I mean? So I was like, he's just gonna get another client. And that's just not really how it worked out for 6 months. He didn't have any clients for 6 months either. So I was going to Upwork every day, just like filling out applications, and that's just not a solid way to like just have an agency or just a solid income in general. Like relying on Upwork is not good, like, and I realized that because I was like, man, I need to be sending Upwork proposals at least 10 a day. And then I would look at the jobs. I was like, I can't even send 10 a day because there aren't jobs that I want. So, you know what I mean? I wouldn't want those jobs. So I was like, man, like I need to figure out how I can reach out to these people that I would want and just be able just to an unlimited amount of emails or DMs or whatever. Like I need to figure out how to do that. So that's really the main reason why I joined your course, was like I needed something that was solid, that I know that I can do every single day, outreach wise, to where I can get a client. So that's the main reason I joined, was just to have that that outreach method.
Yeah, it's more predictable. It's still obviously a lot more scalable as well. When you know you can send 100, you get 2-3 meetings booked. From 2-3 meetings, you may sign one client. Maybe you need 6 meetings. You need to send 200, 6 meetings, one client, or whatever it is. Like obviously, yeah, it's a lot more scalable. So what was the next steps you took at that point? Was it you just strictly focused on client acquisition? How did you ensure that your service delivery was in place as well? Like when you signed on a client, because obviously at that point, I mean, was it just you thought that you knew how to run ads because you had that unicorn client and you thought, oh, I can get 10x ROAS? Or
Yeah, dude, I was confident. I mean, I'm still confident. Like really, like when you bring on a client, like you kind of know whether you can get results or not. You're like, okay, I'm confident I can get results, but it's never guaranteed because you don't know until you get the results.
Exactly.
So like it's still kind of like that today, but I was confident. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna focus on outreach, just like figure it out. Because whenever I bring on a client, if they're a good fit, then I'm gonna be able to scale them. Period.
Yeah.
So I was just with my service delivery.
Yeah, exactly. So what does your team look like now? Is it still yourself doing the ads?
So yeah, it's just me doing the ads right now. Hoping to get a media buyer on pretty soon because I'm not going to be able to take it. But outreach wise, I actually thought about it. I was like, I say to hire where your like weaknesses are, and I know my weaknesses are in outreach because I am lazy. I am not consistent. Like I just can't do it. So I actually got my girlfriend. I was like, okay, whenever I find a lead, I can't help but stay on their website and find everything out about them, which it's just not efficient. Her, like, she'll look at it and she'll like, okay, yeah, this is their stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then email them. I'm like, okay, great. So I made a script, personalized line, things like that. And so she kind of started taking that over. And I actually just hired my sister to start doing that full time also. So they're doing my outreach for me while I'm just focusing on service delivery and, learning from Centurion and Quantum Leap. So
yeah, for sure. That's super interesting. That's the first I've heard of that, like hiring your girlfriend and your sister. That's wild. I think
my girlfriend's technically not hired. She's like, okay, you can't pay me, but I will take commission. She's like, I don't want salary or anything because that's weird. But yeah, my sister takes salary. She has
your sister's like, no, give me all the money.
Yeah, exactly.
That's super interesting. But I mean, it goes to show, right? Like being resourceful and whatnot. Like there's no point hiring from different countries if you've got somebody in front of you that's like literally a perfect fit almost.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like I trust him the most, like in the world, pretty much. Like I'm very close with my sister. I'm like best friends with my girlfriend for the past 4.5 years, like I said. So yeah, I don't trust anyone more than them. And
for sure. I mean, talk about company culture.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like my sister, she's a really hard worker. And my girlfriend, like she's actually never had a job, but she's definitely, she definitely wants to help. And she's good at it. So I just let them do their thing.
That's awesome, dude. So was that kind of the catalyst for you to scale? Because I'm curious, like you went, so you got to 6K a month and you went back down to 0, and then you started to obviously sign a couple more clients. Yep. That was the point in which you obviously joined Quantum Leap and whatnot, which by the way, you've scaled pretty quick from 0 to 20K a month. Like if you joined Quantum Leap back in like November, like it's pretty quick time frame, right? But what was kind of the main catalyst for you to scale? Like what did you change in your agency? How did you go from literally 0 to 20,000 a month? Was it that you focused on client acquisition, got that locked in, brought people on to take over that, and you just focused on service delivery and you just kept getting fed clients? Or where was your mindset at for scaling? Was it pretty much that?
Yeah, that's exacthy right. Yeah, I was just like, okay, I'm going to figure out this email outreach that, I mean, I didn't have to figure it out. You just gave it to me.
Yeah.
So I just started doing it. I mean, there was a little bit of iteration, of course, make it unique to me. But after I kind of found my voice to emails and kind of just started sending them out and just was consistent, and it just works.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. I mean, like that's the thing. Like people try and make it super confusing and whatnot to like scale, but it's literally that. Like just get something locked in on the client acquisition side, get something locked in on delivering results for those clients.
Yeah, that's
kind of it. Yeah, that's literally kind of it. And then you need to obviously at that point, and obviously that's why obviously you're now in Centurion to go from 20 to like 100, or actually you joined at what 13 and a half or something. To now obviously want to ramp up to 50, 80, 100. Obviously at that point there's a lot more that comes into it as you've seen inside of Centurion. But to go from 0 to but to go from 0 to 10, 0 to 20, I mean it's really just about that, right? Like just getting client acquisition locked in, and delivering a high level of service for that client, making sure that you're giving them back not two, like 5, 10, 15, 20x what they're paying you each month. That's what it comes down to. I think a lot of times people try and overcomplicate it because they think, oh, to make 10,000 a month, like it's so much money, I need to be doing so much. But when you break it down to its most fundamental form, it's really, I wouldn't say easy, but it's simple.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, like you really have to be confident in your service delivery, and you can't be confident in your service delivery until you've gotten really good results. For one client, yeah, it'll give you confidence, but over multiple clients, you just start stacking confidence. And it's like, I can take on any client and scale them. I mean, that's not true, but like you just have that. So, so you definitely just need to, like I said, kind of just like take time and just really get your service delivery down. And on service delivery, I know a lot of people are like, oh, like CPC, CTR, and like things like that matter. But really, you just focus on the ad copy and focus on the offer, and it'll go 10 times further than like what you guys are doing now. I promise you guys, like I changed the offer for this new client. His margins are really good. He gets a product for like $2.70 or $3. Sells them for 29. So I was like, dude, let's do a buy one, get one free. It started popping off. So I was like, all right, dude, let's get a buy one, get two free. And it was like, it went crazy. So it's just like focus on the offer. It doesn't have to necessarily be a discount, but at least try to put some sort of bundle together, or just make an offer sound good, you know?
Yeah, 100%, man. Like that's the thing. Like again, it's almost like as scaling with an agency, people try and make it sound super complicated and whatnot. It's the same thing with ads. Like people try and make it like do this CBO structure and this and that, and like make sure there's no crossover and there's no lap over inside of your audiences. Do this to check that out. Do this bid cap and this. So guys, none of that. If your ad copy, offer, or if the ad itself, ad copy and creative, the offer and the audience don't align, I don't care what big cap you do, or what, if you do a CBO, or if you scale by 20% off it, it just doesn't matter. Like, it just literally doesn't matter. And I think a lot more people, I would honestly say a lot more people could actually probably get better results than they think when it comes to running ads, because it's just about putting stuff in front of, first of all, it's just about knowing who you're trying to run ads to, understand what they want, and give them that pretty much.
Yep.
Like that's really all it comes down to.
Yeah, and that's also something that I learned in Centurion. I know that a lot of people watching this are going to be probably more like the Quantum Leap level, which is, Quantum Leap is an amazing program for like just getting to 10K a month. I mean, seriously, like don't expect it in 30 days or even 60 days. Like whenever I was like, you know what, dude, by January, I'm going to be balling at like 50K a month. And that's just not the case. Like I realize, hey, like, let's just try to get a client a month and see where that goes. Like aim for a client a month, but kind of like apply that 10X rule, I guess you could say, if people are familiar with Grant Cardone, just like your action needs to be as if you're going to sign 10 clients, but your target should be like one client, so that, if you go past that goal, great. But also if you don't, like, it's not a big deal,
Yeah. Consistency over a long period of time is like the most important thing. Without a doubt, consistency over a long period of time, and in that period of time you're actioning on the correct things. You kind of can't not get to 10,000 a month, or whatever it is that you want to hit, 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month. Obviously at the high level, 100,000 a month. Like you kind of can't not hit that, as long as you stay consistent over a long period of time. You action on the right things and you iterate on the correct things. It's kind of just a recipe for success almost.
Yeah, definitely. It's just like if you just figure out how to do it, just keep doing it. That's basically it. Just do it right, and just keep doing it. And it's not that hard to do it right, because you'll just tell everybody like, hey, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
And then just keep doing it.
Pretty much, yeah. Just keep duplicating it, and then that's how you kind of scale. And then obviously the 20K a month mark, there's obviously extra stuff that comes into play, or 10K a month. I mean, overall, dude, I think, I hope a lot of people pulled some, actionable stuff from this video. I mean, obviously, you know, you've been there and done that. I know I've been there and done that, but I think people look at me and think, oh, you know, he's like so far past where I'm at. I think people forget that I was actually in the trenches not too long ago either. It was probably like 2 years ago at this point. But yeah, as I say, I hope people are able to pull some actionable stuff from your story. Especially, as I say, you going to, like, I think that's so amazing, right? Ramping to 6K and then dropping down to 0. At the early stage as well, when you weren't as confident, you know, when you didn't have as much certainty in the business model, in doing this whole online thing on your own. It takes a lot of guts to keep pushing forward. So, I mean, overall, was there any kind of last insights or, you know, piece of advice or anything like that that you had for somebody? As I say, most people watching this video right now are going to be between 0 and 5,000 a month. So, I mean, was there any last insights that you had?
Yeah, so I actually just want to touch on something that you just said, like people thinking that you aren't like you're so much further ahead of them. Like, I guess, like, yeah, if you're making like 100 grand a month, yeah, like you're pretty far ahead. If you really think about it, like you're still building out systems for your agency. Like you're still very, very much like involved. And that's actually the main reason that I was like attracted to your program, was because I see that like you're like you're still in it, you know, compared to other people that are still starting their courses. Yeah, they have their agency just to be able to say that, oh, like this is what we do. And we can teach it because this is what we do. But with you, like you're actually doing it like every single day. Like you're building a team on like on everything. So that's one of the main things that attracted me to you. And it was just like, it just makes sense to have someone that's still in it.
Yeah. Doing what they're saying to do almost.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, was there any last insights that you had or anything like that?
Mostly, guys, just know it's gonna take time. It's like, it's definitely not overnight. I thought it was gonna be overnight. It's not. Like, no matter how smart you think you are, no matter how good you think you are, like it's not overnight. And like whenever you just accept that, you just keep going, just consistency, like you said, it's just it's gonna work. I just stay with it.
It's inevitable pretty much at that point. Yeah, dude. I mean, I deeply appreciate you coming on. To everybody listening, I hope you was able to pull some actionable insights. Jared is somebody who's literally, he's been there and he's done it and he's doing it to, you know, obviously continue to scale and whatnot. Yeah, it's more than achievable, you know, like we spoke about. You just got to ensure that you stay consistent on the right things, you make the correct iterations, and at that point it is just a matter of time, whether it's 3 days, 30 days, or 3 months. It doesn't really matter. It's going to happen. You've just got to be willing to, you know, stick to it. So that being said, dude, I deeply appreciate you coming on. And yeah, with everybody else, if you enjoyed, make sure you go ahead, smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.